Welcome back to Matthew part 2. Here we see this gesture on the icon. A gesture of testimony, of coming forward with information, of speaking, of wanting to be listened to. This is one of the first and primary function of the 12 apostles in the church defined as being apostolic, their testimony. And in the first part we saw how Thomas is such a qualified witness. We don't have miracles that explicitly mention where he is. Well, one is the miraculous catch of fish after the resurrection. So he was witness to that. He's listed in those who were in the boat with Peter, right after Peter's name. But we don't have him in many other places, not talking much, but we have him before going to Jerusalem for the crucifixion in Bethany, saying, we will go and die with him. We have him at the Last Supper, show us how to go. Where are you going? We do not know where you're going. I am the way, the truth, and the life, is Christ's answer. He heard these words. They were directed to him. He is the first witness of these words, all the others together with him, because the Apostolic College witnessed together. The church is built on the witness of the 12 apostles. And then we find him at the second round of apparitions of the resurrection, because at the first time he was missing and he protested, I will not believe unless I see. He's a direct witness, an eyewitness, like explicitly so stated. And Jesus actually corrected him then and said, well, more blessed those who believe and do not see. But we need their witness, because they're the ones that carried to us the witness of Jesus risen from the dead. He appeared to them. And then the final moment in the gospel story with Thomas is here at the Sea of Galilee, and there he is right beside Peter. He's in the middle of the action, even though he doesn't speak, and his name is not mentioned as being active, but they all had to rush to take in the fish. The boats, 2 boats filled them with 153 fish. So he is totally qualified as a witness. And we can see that that's also a dimension of our faith, to witness. And then we can ask, how are we qualified interiorly to be a witness? There are some wonderful features about Thomas that speak to us. The very fact that he doubts, it's so human. The very fact that he asks questions he didn't understand, so human. This Thomas is one who we can relate to, and it's a comfort for us. It means that we shouldn't feel guilty if we have doubts. If we have questions, we shouldn't feel shy in asking for answers. And we can ask Jesus, we can ask the successors of the apostles, we can ask other believers, how do you understand this? I have doubts about that. And let us deal with them and not bury them and not overlook them. This is a great example from Thomas. Another thing of realism in Thomas is he has these great aspirations to go, we will die with him. He has a surge of enthusiasm, a surge of readiness to go and die with Jesus. And we know that he's not at Calvary. And so there we see a tempering thought and attitude for ourselves. We have moments of doubt and discouragement, but we also have moments of intense enthusiasm and desire, and we're not ready. We need to be tempered, we need to be strengthened, we need to mature. And Thomas goes through that maturing, because then we discover from the early tradition of the church how Thomas went to India, as far as India, but he didn't go there by jet from here. He went, as all people would have done in the past, on the land route, or maybe water route, but that would be more practical, on the land route. And so we find traces of him in Syria and in Edessa, but that's actually also strengthened because after his martyrdom in India, there are reports of his remains being brought back to Edessa in northern Mesopotamia. So we have this amazing track to the east. There are even some devotional memories of him. I'm not sure how solid they are, as far as Malaysia. So the reach of the apostles, we think of Peter going to Rome, and now Thomas going to India. That's an incredible stretch. And this fits so well with the words of the gospel, go to the ends of the earth and bring the good news. They knew they were witnesses. They knew they needed to go and teach all people, the teaching of the apostles. And so we find in the icon that Thomas is holding that scroll of the teaching of the apostles. The final note I would like to share about Thomas, he's the apostle really of the Paschal mystery, enthusiastic to go with Christ to suffer. He's at the Last Supper asking this very profound question, where are you going? We do not know the way. He's there for the resurrection appearances. So he's really in that. He's obviously in the Acts of the Apostles, also listed in the Acts of the Apostles, the Pentecost account. One thing really stands out is the experience Thomas had putting his finger in the wounds of the risen Christ. Maybe none of the other disciples did that. He puts his hand into the side wound. Wonder if any of the apostles did that. And Thomas had that experience, and that crystallizes for us a very important aspect of the risen Christ, the reality of his wounds. And that carries a very powerful message. In our time, many people are very deeply wounded. In many ways, internally, externally, physically, but also spiritually, in their emotional world, in their relationships, there's a lot of hurt. And to know that the risen Christ, through Thomas' experience, is not shy about showing us his wounds. The wounds of the past are openings to future blessing, to encounter with the risen Lord, a path, an open door to glory. How good it is that Christ, the Word of God, became incarnate to share our lives, to dwell among us, to live with us, to share our wounds, to bring us salvation through that, and to have these so human, so earthy, so normal people chosen by Christ to reconstitute the people, the chosen people, the 12, who will sit on 12 thrones to judge, who are the 12 foundation stones of the heavenly Jerusalem coming down. What a gift. How close to us. How blessed to enter into communion with Christ through them. We welcome you back for the next session to visit with Matthew in his tent.